Welcome back to Elevate Inspiration for Sunday School. We're at lesson 3. We're still in our faith series. This subject is healed by faith. So let's look at the context of this lesson. We're in the second year of Jesus' public ministry. Remember now, his ministry only lasted for 3 years. It's probably taken around the city of Capernaum. Remember last week was in the Sea of Galilee. By this time his reputation has spread. Public opinion has begun to polarize Jesus, because people was flocking to hear not only to see the miracles, to be fed by the fish and the bread, but they were actually listening at what he was saying, trying to pinpoint, especially the Pharisees and the Sadducees, trying to pinpoint error in his teaching. They was amazed by his authority. But Jesus dealt with the crowds, but he never lost sight on the individual. So our text is going to give us 2 examples how he does not lose sight of the individual. So we are right now, we're at a grieving family. We're in Matthew, the 9th chapter, and we're going to start with the 18th verse. So I want you to notice here we have a father's request. This is why he spake these things unto them. That's talking about Jesus teaching the people. Behold, there came a certain ruler. Now, Luke gives us a little bit more information about this ruler. His name is Jairus. He comes and worship him. That worship right there have reference to meaning that he had reverence to God, to Jesus, rather. Then he states, my daughter. Luke tells us that his daughter is actually 12 years old. Stick a pin in there. It says, my daughter is even now dead, but come and lay hands upon her, and she shall live. At this point in Jesus' ministry, Lazarus has not been raised from the dead. And there's another occasion where he raised another individual from the dead during a funeral procession. So this right here has not, I would say this individual has not witnessed him raising someone from the dead, but he goes to Jesus. Evidently, him being a ruler, Jairus being a ruler, know the Old Testament scriptures. If you remember, actually Elijah raised the widow son from the dead. So remember now, a lot of people thought Jesus was Elijah. But Jesus responded. He arose, didn't say anything, came and actually followed him, and so did his disciples. So now Jesus is going there for a purpose. Jairus did not ask Jesus to come and mourn with him, but he gave specific direction. Come and lay hand upon my daughter that she may live. Think about that. So I have a question for you. My question is, why does Jairus bother Jesus when his daughter is already dead? Why? Dig a little bit deeper. I want you to think about the mental posture you will assume the next time you approach God in prayer regarding a need you have, and why. Now we have an interruption. We are at the 20th verse and the 22nd verse of Matthew, the 9th chapter. We have a woman in need. Again, now remember, now we're supposed to be focusing on Jesus and how he thinks about individual. So he's on his way to see Jairus' daughter to take care of Jairus' need, and all of a sudden we have a woman and she has a disease, issue of blood. There we have again 12 years. She came behind him, touched the hem of his garment, for she said within herself, if I may touch his garment, I shall be made whole. Now, if you notice here, the hem of his garment is not from a standpoint of the hems that we have in our pants or in our dresses today. This hem have reference to a tassel. Back in that day and time, the priests or the religious would wear garments, and they would have tassels for them to remember the scriptures at the bottom. So they would actually wear things on their garments to have them to remember God, remember what the scripture says, to be obedient to God. So what she's saying, what she's saying, that if I can just touch his garment, I shall be made whole. So we see faith here. Now, all of a sudden, Jesus turned about him, and when he saw her, he said, daughter, be of good comfort. thy faith has made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that day. So we see here not only were other people crowding Jesus. When you read this account in one of the other gospels, especially in Luke, you'll see that people was pressing around Jesus, and all of a sudden he says, virtue has went out from me. So basically what this lady has done is she has so much faith. So we see not only Jesus with power to heal, but his knowledge. He knew there was something different. He sees this lady, and notice when he realized, he called her daughter. Think about that for a few minutes. Daughter. Here is like a father talking to a child and comforting her, not saying anything bad, but be of good comfort, he says to her. And then here's the catch here. Thy faith has made thee whole. And then it says the woman was made whole from that hour. She have had this issue of blood for 12 years. Now we realize that it was ceremonial problem for a person to bleed out in public, and then especially go touch a person of Jesus' statue. But she wanted to be healed, and she realized that if she could just touch him, she would be healed. Now, our scripture now moves to the 23rd chapter and the 26th chapter. We move to Jairus, back to Jairus. Jesus continued on his way. And when Jesus come into the ruler's house, that's Jairus' house, he saw the minstrels. The minstrels, I like this right here, and the people making noise. All right, now, let's look at this right here. Minstrels and the people making noise. Minstrels are actually professional mourners. In that day and time, in the Jewish community, you would have people come to your house, sing songs and mourn, and the louder they are, the more love for the dead individual, and you can say, oh, they really love that person because they're mourning. Think about that. I know we have professional funeral goers in our day and time, but here we give them a name. They're called minstrels. And if you notice, it said they made a whole lot of noise. And Jesus says to them, give place, for the maid is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. You know, I think what Jesus is actually saying here is not that she's in a coma, she's asleep, but what he's saying is that she's going to live. And they looked at her, wait a minute, you got to be crazy. You know, and that's what Jesus is. He's here to give us life. And if you notice here, we see his power and his fame for when the people were put forth, when they left out. He went in, took her by the hand, and the maid arose. Remember now, this girl is 12 years old. And it says, like a father, he took her by the hand. Now you remember a touch. Remember the lady with the issue of blood? If I can just touch the hem of his garment, if I can just get a touch from Jesus, I will be made whole. That's interesting. I like that. And then because of that touch, because she was made whole, it says the fame went abroad in all of the land of Jesus. So this has been a great lesson. So I got to pull my lessons learned. Okay, so we noticed two counts here in the lesson. All right, first we have mourning the loss of someone you love. Think about Jairus. And then we have the lady with the issue of blood suffering from a chronic condition that does not improve. We must realize that Jesus is more than a great doctor. He is more than that. So what I pulled from this lesson is the number 12. I was going to come back to that. 12. 12 signifies perfection or completion. So according to Bible scholars, 12 is the product of 3, which signifies divine, and 4, which signifies earthly. So what this tells me is that I must exercise faith in my earthly circumstances to enact divine measures to become complete. Think about that. There has to be faith in Jairus, and there had to be faith exercised with the woman of the issue of blood for divine to actually come in and bring completeness in those individual lives. Think about that today, you all. So my thought to remember is Jesus' power and authority are greater than the worst of our circumstances. Let me say that again. Jesus' power and authority are greater than the worst of our circumstances. Hey, this has been great, you all. We have a Sunday school discussion each Sunday at 6 p.m. Here's the Zoom session here. Our meeting ID is 642-382-0715, and our passcode is CU123. This has been great. I can't wait till next week. Our lesson is Rescue from Doubt. So like I always say, see you in Sunday school.